You know him, you love him, you came to see him. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Adam Baldwin. Come on, guys, come on.
It's good, no, you're good. You're doing good. Well, that's good. Corpus Christi. I've never been here before, and when they invited me, I was like, oh, I've never been there before, so here I'm gonna go. The couch. I got invited to the couch, all right.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
How you doing today?
So far so good. Had a nice evening last night. I got in early yesterday morning and hung out with some friends, and then we had a nice dinner. And we came down here earlier yesterday, met some fine folks, and today's been even crazier.
That's awesome.
We're stuck inside of a convention center and a hotel so far, so I'm looking forward to getting out and wandering around, maybe going over to the Lexington Museum.
Yeah.
That looks pretty cool.
So, I mean, what haven't you done in your career at this point? You've done so much. So let me ask, what would you say has been your favorite role of everything you've done so far?
Favorite role? I have like 5 milestones in my life. I did a movie called Bodyguard when I was 17 in Chicago. It's a good movie, and it has a nice little resurgence. Folks have been enjoying that recently. It's come up on streaming, and that's advantageous, and a new generation has discovered it. Then after that, Full Metal Jacket, which was a Stanley Kubrick movie. Kind of a dark war movie, but a dark comedy, I guess, is what he called it. Yes. And then Firefly and Serenity. That was my next one. And then a show called Chuck, which was on NBC for 5 years, and then The Last Ship, which was on TNT for 5 years. And in between, what I like to call connective tissue, a bunch of independent movies, and Independence Day, and The Patriot, and some other stuff, some other little independent, dark, crazy movies. But you know, baby needed new shoes. I have 3 kids, and my wife and I, we have a grandson now. We got through Hollywood. Married for 36 years this year, and yeah. I just feel blessed to still be healthy and happy, and I get to play golf out in California a lot, so I do that, and work a couple of shows last year or so on SWAT and 911 Lone Star with Gina Torres, so a little reunion there, and the pandemic was strange. It slowed everything down, and then there was a strike, and then I got older, so keep grinding though. Now I'm moving into dad roles and sergeant roles, or more like general roles and stuff like that. So again, it's been 45 years, so I'm just happy to be here.
That's awesome. You mentioned Full Metal Jacket, and I actually have a question about that because my dad, he was a sergeant, he was an E5. He actually did a year in Vietnam. My uncle did too. They both love Full Metal Jacket, and I've seen it in my dad. He's like saying, yeah, it was like that. It was that insane. What was first getting that role like, and then actually shooting it? What was that like?
Well, the thing about Full Metal Jacket, as opposed to like Platoon, we were filming for 3 months in England, of all places. And we were reading in the trade magazines that there was another Vietnam movie starting a production casting called Platoon, whatever it was. And we're like, who's Oliver Stone? And then that movie came out ahead of ours, and Oliver Stone, he won the Oscar, and it won the Oscar. So our movie came out the year afterwards, and it didn't get any awards really. I thought Lee Ermey, who played the drill instructor, rest in peace, he should have been nominated for an Academy Award because nobody could have pulled it off like he did. That was probably the best drill instructor you'll ever see. It's 2 movies really. It's first half boot camp, second half war section, And the war section is one of the best war movies ever made, only to be superseded by the first half in the boot camp. Just brilliant performance, and Kubrick, they shot the boot camp second, so he had really found his footing. He had been kind of rusty. The movie he had done before that was The Shining, like 6 or 7 years earlier, so he might have been a little rusty. And they had a lot more time to work on the second half, and they had Lee Ermey driving the dialogue. You know, I was a 23-year-old kid. Like they say in the movie, we were pretending to be jolly green giants walking the earth with guns. And it seemed like ancient history. After that, I got home and got married, had 3 kids, and it was off to the races.
Those days, the whirlwind ever since then.
Yeah.
Speaking of Firefly, which again, I think, who saw that? Did anyone watch Firefly? Oh, okay, so we got a couple. A couple of people in recognize you. It's a great show. I'm just being a jerk. It's a great show. It's fantastic sci-fi. Despite it only lasting 1 season, it still resonates with people today. When did you realize it was going to have a lasting impact, even though it didn't last that long?
I think right away we realized we were under the gun. Scheduling-wise, Fox, the real story is, and I've told this a few times, the real story why Firefly was not picked up for the second half of the first season is that Fox, in the year 2002, had very limited, what they call real estate, in the network primetime. They only had 2 hours of broadcasting from 8 to 10, and then they would go to the local news. And that was the first year of American Idol. In American Idol, they gave 3 nights. So there's really very little real estate available for us, and we did a 2-hour pilot. And they just didn't find room for it. And that's why they had to scramble, Joss and Tim Minear had to scramble and write the train job, which was our first episode aired, even though the episode Serenity was our true pilot. They didn't feel that it fit in there. So everything kind of got out of order, and the marketing department and Joss and Tim, they didn't synergize. And it's a shame because it's so well written and it was so perfectly cast that I think had it been 10 years later when there were more options online to watch it, it probably would have lasted a little longer. Just that was the era where you needed 4 million, 5 million viewers to stay on the air, and now you only need like 2. Just a different time. And it came down to ratings. We didn't get the ratings. People didn't want to see us at 8 o'clock on a Friday night. And the 2 other pilots that went up on the Wednesday night, which was the plum spot, we wanted to be Wednesday nights at 8 or 9, was John Doe and Fastlane, which were good pilots, but the shows, John Doe was a pretty good show. Fastlane didn't really work. It was beautiful people as cops, young 20-somethings as cops, catching bad guys in hot cars, shot from really sexy angles. And
I don't just forgot about both shows till you brought them up just now.
It just didn't last. John Doe was Dominic Purcell, very good actor and really cool pilot. Good series, but Firefly was better. Well.
Clearly, but how does it feel for you still seeing to this day? And I even saw someone dressed as Jane in the back there. Like, how does it feel to still see that all these years later?
It's a heartwarming feeling that people are still enjoying it and maybe introducing it to their friends and family and the next generation. So I love it, and that hat is just ridiculous.
but it's great.
It's great. I embraced wearing it. I told Tim, because Tim Minear, when that hat was introduced, I said, Tim, I just want to wear that hat the whole time. Once I get it, I'm putting it on and not taking it off. And he goes, that's ridiculous. Why would you do that? I said, well, because at the funeral, I want to take it off and honor the fallen. And he goes, oh, that's a good idea. Let's do that. So he was very amenable and cool about things, but you had to have a real good, rationale for why you would do something. The words you had to say were, they had to be word perfect. They were writing poetry and we had to deliver them. But he and Joss would allow us to find behavioral improvisation. If we came up with something we could do physically, they would let us do it. So I was always working hard with the prop master and the armorer to figure out what I like to call doings. Actors do things, so that's what I'm always looking for. The words will come, but you have to match them with what you're doing. Keep your hands busy.
Awesome. So, Firefly, it ends, but then you get the message that Serenity gets greenlit, that you can at least give the series some kind of send-off. How did that feel, knowing that maybe, of course not how you wanted it to end, but at least you were giving it some kind of send-off properly with Serenity? How did that feel?
That was great. I felt it was a resurrection for Joss and for Tim to be able to produce that with Universal, and I never lost faith that it would happen. Joss said he wasn't going to give it up. He tried to get another network or two to pick up the show, and that didn't come to fruition, but they were able to make a deal with Universal and do the movie, so I thought it was cool. We didn't get, I don't know if it was a marketing thing or who knows why people go to things. But we were like a million pairs of eyeballs short of being picked up for the series. And we were like, 2 million folks short of not going to the theater that would have given us a sequel or 2 sequels. Oh, those sequel deals were so good. Oh well.
It's crazy how that works. How you're just shy of it, but still so many people love it to this day. And
but the wash death, I think that might not have helped.
That
it was probably just, again, the marketing, it just didn't stink.
Yeah, I will admit, as much as I love the movie, the wash death did stink a lot. And it was because it was so. I was talking to someone when they knew I was coming to this.
So abrupt.
That's what it was. I was talking to a coworker, and he said, "It happened so quickly. I thought it wasn't real for a second." I was like, "Yeah, that's how a lot of us feel."
Yeah. Oh well, I don't write this stuff.
Yeah, fair enough. So, you mentioned Gina Torres. You see a lot of your castmates from Firefly and different things. You did an episode of Castle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion invited me to do a couple episodes of Castle.
And that's my question. Whenever, especially with Nathan Fillion, whenever you see him on set, how hard is it to get through a scene with him? Because he seemed like such a prankster. He seemed like he's such a jokester all the time.
My challenge is to keep a straight face, but I'm pretty good at that. I consider myself sniper funny, and I can be, I'm 10 years older than he is, maybe 15. So I consider myself the elder statesman when it comes to him. And he's very good, though. He's such a pro. He and Zach Levi, who did Chuck, 2 wonderful number 1s on the call sheet. But when I was doing, Castle, I just play it dead straight. I'm the straight man for his funny, and I'm I think I'm one of his best foils. And
I'd say so.
We enjoy it, but keep it about the work. If you keep it about the work, there's no time really to laugh and blow takes with that sort of thing. Just because the goal on a TV show is to get the crew home in time for dinner, or at least before midnight on a Friday. Because if you're bleeding into the Friday mornings, you have an unhappy crew after about 6 months, maybe about 3 months. But so the deal is, we're going to get you home before midnight on Friday. That's how you keep a happy crew and a happy atmosphere. If you can't have fun making movies and TV shows, you can't have fun.
Yeah, fair enough. So aside from your on-screen acting and everything, you've done a lot of voice work. You actually were one of the first voices when the DC started doing their animated movies. You were the first Superman. and you've been Hal Jordan, you've been Jonah Hex. How does it feel knowing that you have this whole other set of fan bases for all these different DC characters as well?
Yeah, voiceover for cartoons and for video games are completely different. You fully formulated storylines and scripts with other actors that you're doing for cartoons and comics. So you get to play it in the room with the other actors, whereas video games, you're doing like a list of cues alone with the director in the booth and the engineer. Just repeat this and that. Run to the base. You know, say that again. Run to the base. So it's a different animal. I prefer that, obviously, working with the other actors. Those storylines are more fun to play. They don't necessarily pay as well as the video games. It is show business. You know, I'm glad that I have an instrument that carried forward and is there. That hopefully my grandkids can watch after I'm gone, and you know, just stay positive. That's all I can say.
Was there any apprehension to doing voice work? Did you think, maybe that's not for me, or did you?
No, man, baby needs new shoes.
Yeah, I mean,
dude, come on.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I know we have probably some audience questions. So if you guys can start lining up to the microphone here, if anyone has any questions, you start lining up. We'll get to those. So one question I have is kind of specific because I'm a super nerd. I love Firefly, and Firefly is very reminiscent of a couple of anime I watched during back in the day, Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star, and Firefly was very, very much in line with those shows as far as a space adventure kind of.
Some would even say derivative.
Was it going there? My question is, have you gotten a lot like people think like looking at it from the perspective of almost a live action anime kind of, what people might say the first version of Cowboy Bebop might be better than the Netflix one, but that's not for me to say.
Doesn't it seem like Firefly is a no-brainer for an animated resurgence?
I have been saying that for years.
You know, man, I can't run and jump like I used to, so but my voice is still potent.
And while they're lining up, actually, about that, your voice has always been so distinct. At least as far as I've known your career, was that something that you got told a lot? That your voice was just so distinctive, like all the time?
My voice is what's known as a standard American accent. I'm from Chicago area, so sometimes I get lazy and I get the hard R's and stuff like that. But my dad was an English major, my mom was an English teacher. And she taught science and math as well, but the voices that we heard in our youths were this, when you hear me standard English, you know, I could cheat and go down south a little bit, but that's cheating, and that's, my English accent's terrible. My Australian accent's terrible. So when they get character breakdowns for any new roles, and it says standard American accents, I got that. I can do that. Yeah, it's the lower register, maybe baritone-ish.
It always stands out there. Like the animated roles. When some of the ones I didn't even know you played, I would listen to them. I was like, that sounds like Adam Baldwin, and I would look it up. Oh, that is Adam Baldwin. So that makes a lot of sense. So, and you said English major. That was my major in college too. So, yeah, so.
Well, baritone is also comforting to listen to. I don't know.
It is very.
If you have someone in your house that maybe snores and you put your headphone in, you know, you can listen to a book on tape by someone with a baritone voice. Will probably lull you to sleep better than someone with a soprano. True. No offense to the Sopranos.
It's also why I thought you were a great choice for Superman when they did the Superman Doomsday animated movie. When I remember reading that they were doing that and you were being Superman, I was like, that's a great choice because your voice had the Superman quality.
I remember talking to the director through the booth and saying, so which one am I now? Good Superman, Dark Superman, or Clark Kent? Okay, because Superman is like this, Dark Superman is more like this. And Clark's like, hi, I'm Clark Kent. Which one am I right now? And they said, okay. So they kept me in line that way.
Was that ever a bit maddening to do all three of those? Like, you know.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Short and sweet. Okay. First
Question?
Fly,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Say it one more time,
Could you
I'm sorry.
repeat that?
would you ever do a video game version of Firefly?
A video game? Yeah, if there was a video game of Firefly, that'd be great. I think that's, again, a no-brainer. You know, just have to get, you know, Joss to make a deal with what, Riot Games or one of the EA Sports, but it's Firefly.
That's a really good question. I wonder why they never did that. I mean, because they had the comics, they had the movie, and the comics were a lot of fun. I wonder why they never could.
Well, it's above my pay grade, but I would presume it is just a licensing thing.
Okay.
Because when we originally did Firefly, that was a Fox property, which is now owned by Disney, and Serenity, the movie, was Universal. And, you know, again, above my pay grade, but I suspect it's that. Also, you know, you may have heard Joss say, you know, he just doesn't want to, he kind of wants to leave it alone. It's like this.
That's right.
Yes, he wanted to do way more episodes, seasons, but now it is what it is, and it's kind of this perfect thing that just sits there as Firefly and Serenity. And he'd be worried. He said, I worry I'd go back and we'd screw it up. So, and that is a big risk, you know.
Yeah.
Like remaking a classic. If you go back and remake Casablanca, it's not going to be as good. So just leave it alone. And that may be it. Maybe, I don't know.
Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. Come on down.
Hey man, love your work, by the way. Thank you. Do want to ask, I'm a huge Firefly fan. What was your favorite episode filming of Firefly?
Favorite episode?
The filming, yeah.
Favorite episode of Firefly to film? For me, I would say Ariel, the one where I get like almost spaced, because it was just so fun to play that scene. I love the pilot. We got to run around in the sort of the Southern California desert a little bit. That was fun. They were all fun. Our Mrs. Reynolds was great. I think, you know, War Stories was one of my favorite episodes to watch, just because of Nishka and the torture scene with Mal and Wash and their relationship, and then going in and rescuing them. That was a lot of fun. Heart of Gold was good because I got to brush a beautiful woman's hair. It's funny, you know, the actress and I were like, what can we do, like, to indicate that, you know, what we've been up to without, like, going overly, and, you know, I have daughters, and I used to brush their hair out after. It's like, would you mind if I brushed your hair? And she goes, that's a great idea. So, you know, I'm sitting up on the bar, she's on the bar stool while they're plotting all this revenge, action-y stuff, and I'm just kind of brushing her hair out. It's like, perfect. And that's the kind of thing that I look for, is like, how can we keep this grounded in real behavior that is something you wouldn't expect. It's like finding a beautifully perfect birthday cake in a crummy alley in a homicide episode where there's a murder. But right here is a beautiful birthday cake, just out of place, yet it could happen in real life. Those are the sort of little birthday cakes or Easter eggs that I look for.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Come on down.
So with Firefly, there's a lot of funny lines that I like to quote a lot. Do you have a favorite quote from that or from any other work you do?
Favorite quote from Firefly?
Yes.
You know, it's in Our Mrs. Reynolds. I have kind of a line that's it's when Nathan is introducing Yosef Bridge, and I just kind of like, I think Mel's line, or Wash's line, you marry her, you don't even know her. And he's like, I don't want to know her. And I said, can I know her? You know, little lines like that. I'm never much of a speechifier. You know, I mean, there's like, I'll be in my bunk, or, you know, that one's a good one. Or, gosh, caught me off guard. I don't know. I guess I'll be in my bunk. Or Shiny, Let's Be Bad Guys, and Serenity, that's a good one. I always thought that was pretty cool. The rig we set up for Serenity, that little submachine gun had, was a parachute attachment. What do you call it? Buckle. It was a parachute buckle. It was a quick release parachute buckle. So the prop guys and I worked on that harness for like a week. How do we get this to work? And it was pretty cool. Those are the kind of things I like.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I feel tiny now. Melissa.
Hi. Again.
We're gonna take you back to Chuck. What was your favorite episode, and how much fun was it to do Chuck?
Oh, Chuck was fantastic because, again, Zach Levi was our number one, our department head, if you will, in the acting department. And when you have a number one like that, like Nathan Fillion and Zach Levi, they're entertaining, energetic, and they just make it a pleasure to go to work. So, you know, I really love the pilot. The first season of Chuck, I think, is just wonderful. Any specific episode? I like the one where I get to choke out Batista.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that.
Yeah, like Eric Roberts comes back, and one of his team members is Batista, and my character jumps on his back and chokes him out. So the joke was, "You're letting me choke you, aren't you?" And he goes, "Yeah, pretty much." Because this is how long ago was that? It's like almost 10, 15 years ago, easy, maybe 12 years ago. And he was just getting into his film and television work. And he was, man, he's a beast. He's so strong. So, you know, stuff like that, running and playing and diffusing bombs. And Yvonne Strahovski was our Sarah. She was our CIA operative. She had colorful language. She's Australian. And I don't know if you know any Australians or English folks. They have some of the words that they say are in a different context than if Americans say them. And you probably can conjure up what those words are. And coming out of this beautiful woman's mouth on set in between takes shocked people. And then we would all laugh because, oh, Australian, different sensibility. But very funny woman, very talented. Could kick me in the head still, probably, you know, just standing still. Just a great cast, so fun. Again, I'm blessed to have been a part of that. And I kept reminding them, I said, this is a very special production. And I've been on a few of those. Like Full Metal Jacket was for sure one, and Firefly, Chuck, and The Last Ship. I said to the younger actors, I said, appreciate this now, because most jobs aren't like this. Most jobs are, you know, get in, grind it, get out. These are really special jobs. Enjoy them, because it's hard out there. Once the show's over, and all shows end, unless it's like Grey's Anatomy, or SVU or something like that, or Family Guy. Can you imagine? The Simpsons, how long is The Simpsons? Like 30 years now?
At least, because that started when I was in elementary school.
Yeah. You're not that old.
I turned 36 this year.
Just you wait, pal.
So I've been told. Thank you so much. Before we get to the next question, you do have a distinction because you're one of the few guys who can say that they choked out Dave Bautista. It's a small list. There are pro wrestlers who can't say that. Go ahead.
Well, the thing is with that scene is like pro wrestling. It's kind of free form, determined that the outcome. The outcome is determined for me in the script, so Batista couldn't argue.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I guess he could have, but there would have been repercussions. Yeah.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Hey, I was always curious, on Firefly, did the showrunners explain to you why so many of your lines were in Chinese?
I'm sorry, could you a little closer?
On Firefly?
Yeah.
Did the showrunners ever explain why a bunch of the lines were in Chinese, or did y'all just get your scripts and go with it?
Well, they wanted to infuse the idea that sort of in the future, China and the U.S. would be the dominant governmental forces, peoples, and that they would form the evil alliance, at least in Joss's twisted mind. We're gonna keep fighting, damn it. Give me liberty or give me... No. Yes. That's why they wanted to, to make it cool, but also a sensibility with, like, Blade Runner elements to it. Again, derivative. Everything's derivative. Greek tragedies, comedies, Shakespeare. Joss is a big Shakespeare fan. So,
Shining.
yeah.
So, do we have time for just your last two questions? So that we'll be cutting it off the episode. Go ahead.
Oh no, hi. What's your question? Hi, what's your name?
Benny.
Ben? Mm-hmm. Nice to see you, Ben. How old are you?
3.
You're 3 years old. My grandson's almost 3 years old. You're wonderful. What do you have in your hand there? What is that? Is it a picture?
It is a picture.
Nice. Thank you. Is that your dad?
Yes, it's my dad.
That's your big dad. Nice. Does your dad have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, let him ask it.
Thank you for that, and thank you for Firefly and Chuck. My question was, how did all of y'all wind up doing voices for Halo?
How do we all end up doing voices for what?
Halo? The game?
Oh, Halo. They asked us. They asked me and Nathan and Alan to come in and record it. I guess they were fans of Firefly and, nerds. Yeah, and we went in and it was, yeah, I am happy. Are you happy? Yeah. I'm just happy too. I'm happy you're here.
I think we're all happy, so I'm with them.
Thank you.
Okay, bye,
Thank you
Benny.
so much. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, it was a real pleasure meeting you earlier today, man. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming. Even though Firefly is one of my favorite shows, I really dug The Last Ship. And so I'd like to know, what was it like filming The Last Ship? I mean, did you get to really get on like some of these aircraft carriers where you're around a lot of that military, equipment? How was that? What was that like?
Yeah, we did, especially in the first season or two. The Navy was very helpful. They wanted us, they did assign a lieutenant to oversee the scripts though, because if we wanted access, we couldn't portray the Navy in a negative light, which is fair enough. If we were in uniform or on their base or on their equipment, they wanted us to be honoring the Navy, which was fine with me. That's as fine as far as I can say. When we were out of uniform, we had free reign and they didn't care. But they wanted to make sure we were as much on point as we could be when we were representing the Navy in uniform. The Digi Blues, I guess, are no longer, they're obsolete. They moved to the Digi Green uniforms. And I always thought that they should be orange. At least that's what the folks on the ship would say. Why aren't they orange? You fall overboard. If it's blue, where'd he go? Orange would be a little more helpful. Yeah, it was fabulous. We got to spend, during the pilot, we went on an overnight, there's a firing range off of San Diego. So we got it's about 60, 70 miles over the horizon. And we were on maneuvers and watching the captain and his XO and the crew. You know, the most amazing thing I learned is that these multi-million, billion-dollar ships are run by an average 19-year-old, 20-year-old. Yeah. They're the folks that keep those things afloat and running straight and smooth. The guys in charge, the captains and the master chiefs are just such cool dudes. And men and women, they're so cool, and we're lucky to have them on point for us.
Right on. Thank you, man.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
And then we'd get the Marines that would come on board.
Of course.
Freaking jarheads.
It's a good thing my dad doesn't hear the level of oorah you would hear from even the back of the room would be ridiculous. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Baldwin. It was a real pleasure talking to you. I think I speak for all of us when I say your career has just been amazing, and we thank you for all the characters you've given us, and it's just been a pleasure to see you in everything you've ever done.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it, and I love Texas, and hope to get back down here sometime in the cooler months.
Oh, well, we have about 3 of those, so hopefully
Yeah, right.
we'll catch us. So thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Adam Baldwin. So we have you to go on the stage, everyone else is looking to the back.